Welcome to this explainer. You know, we've all been there. It's 2 in the morning, the house is literally dead quiet, and then you hear it echoing from the bathroom. Drip, drip, drip. It is an absolute nightmare, right? The universal homeowner's annoyance, the leaky, inconsistent faucet. But listen, it's actually more than just a nuisance keeping you awake. It's a glaring signal that something in your plumbing system needs your attention right now. So here is the million-dollar question we have to ask ourselves. Is that dripping faucet actually worth saving? Today, we are going to become our own plumbing detectives. We're going to diagnose the underlying issues so you can make a really smart, economical choice. Because let's be honest, nobody wants to blindly throw their hard-earned money and precious weekends down the drain. We're going to figure out exactly when to fix it and exactly when to just pitch the whole thing. To kick things off on the right foot, take a look at this quote. This right here is our core rule of thumb for this entire explainer. Repair if the problem is limited, replace when damage is widespread. I mean, it sounds incredibly simple, doesn't it? But establishing this clear mental model right off the bat is going to save you from so much frustration later on. Keep this framework tucked in the back of your mind as we start looking at the specific symptoms your sink might be showing. Okay, let's dive right into this. Section 1. When to choose repair, identifying localized issues. So, what do we mean by that? Well, a localized issue is exactly what it sounds like. It's a symptom pointing to one specific failing part. Think of things like a worn washer, maybe a faulty cartridge, a busted O-ring, or a damaged valve seat. Now, the really good news here is that modern faucets are engineered for exactly this kind of maintenance. They've got these easily swappable internal parts. So if the main housing of your faucet is still solid, swapping out a cartridge is fast and, more importantly, it's cheap. It's kind of like, well, you wouldn't replace your whole car just because you got a flat tire, right? All right, let's look at the specific signs that scream, hey, I can be fixed. First up, intermittent dripping. If it only leaks every now and then, it usually just needs some new internal seals. Simple. Second, uneven temperature control. You know, like when one side is scalding hot and the other is freezing cold. That is a classic cartridge or valve issue. Third, if your handles are super stiff to turn, or if they kind of start drifting back down on their own, a simple O-ring or cartridge replacement will literally make them feel brand new again. And finally, minor water pressure changes. These can often be solved just by cleaning out an aerator or replacing a supply line washer. It's actually amazing how these tiny, simple fixes can totally revitalize your fixture. Now, what's really interesting about this is how clearly it draws the battle lines for us. On the left, we've got our manageable, repairable heroes, the intermittent drips, the stiff handles, the minor pressure drops. But over on the right, that's where we see the doomed, replaceable symptoms, recurring leaks, a wobbling base, visible corrosion. Think of this as your quick mental matrix. Next time you're standing in front of your sink, scratching your head, you want to figure out exactly which side of this matrix your fixture lands on. Which brings us to Section 2. Signs it's time to replace. Spotting widespread damage. Okay, it is officially time to give your fixture a failing grade if it shows any of these fatal symptoms. First off, if those leaks keep returning after you've already tried fixing them multiple times, hate to say it, but the faucet is failing you. Second, visible corrosion. If the metal on the spout or the base is bubbling, flaking, or pitted, game over. Just no way around it. Third, wobbling or looseness at the base. This points to deep structural wear that you simply cannot tighten away. Add to that a persistent low flow that cleaning the aerator won't fix, or any visible cracks and major surface damage. Look, if your hardware is showing these signs, absolutely no amount of tinkering is going to save it. And this really highlights the underlying logic behind walking away. Replacing a heavily worn faucet isn't just about aesthetics or, getting a shiny new toy. It actively prevents hidden failures inside an aging valve body. When that structural wear and heavy corrosion take hold, a catastrophic hidden leak under your counter is literally just waiting to happen. By biting the bullet and replacing a deteriorated unit, you are actively preventing major, extremely expensive hidden water damage to your home. Let's move right along to Section 3, the hidden costs, reframing your plumbing economics. So, the crucial point we have to understand here is that the cheapest part doesn't always equal the cheapest solution. I mean, think about the money and time wasted buying parts and specialty tools over and over again for a fixture that just keeps failing. Think about how incredibly frustrating it is to service an aging fixture, especially, oh my gosh, especially if you are hunting down discontinued components online. And let's not even talk about the sheer physical toll of wrestling with awkward access under your sink time after time. Bleeding money and time on discontinued parts actually makes a one-time full replacement a significantly better and much more economical deal. All right, moving to section 4, your quick diagnostic checklist. Be your own plumbing detective. Before you make any final decisions, I want you to guide yourself through these 3 quick steps. We're going to work our way from the outside inward. Step 1, check for a clogged aerator. It's right there at the tip of the spout, it easily unscrews, and cleaning it fixes a surprising amount of pressure issues. Step 2, inspect the shutoff valve under the sink. Just make sure it's fully open and functioning the way it should. And step 3, check the connections at the supply lines for any loose fittings. We absolutely always want to rule out these basic external issues before we go blaming the actual faucet body itself. Now, if you've gone through that diagnostic journey, you've checked all the basics, and they completely fail to fix the issue, actually, scratch that. It's more about the pattern. If you notice a pattern of internal parts repeatedly breaking, well, there is your final verdict. Replacement is the reliable answer. A pattern of failing internal parts is a huge red flag. It indicates deep underlying wear that you simply cannot patch over anymore. So, bringing this whole shebang together, let's look at the evidence. We've covered the localized issues versus the widespread damage. We've completely reframed the hidden costs of endlessly repairing a doomed fixture. And we've walked through our outside-in diagnostic checklist. The final question I want to leave you with today is this. Based on all these signs we just talked about, is your faucet failing the test? I want you to go take a really close look at your own sink today. Run through this mental matrix we built and decide for sure, is it finally time to pitch it, or can you save it with one last fix?